Conversations about Taiwan's fate are too often simplified into some boring duel. Washington versus Beijing. Two superpowers in an epic standoff over the waves of the Western Pacific. It's a glamorous story worthy of a Hollywood blockbuster, but it's far from reality. True power in the region is determined not by diplomatic summits and grandiose statements, but by what's already sailing the seas. The steel hulls of ships, the squadrons of fighter jets on deck, the crews constantly searching for underwater threats and guarding key maritime arteries. In the opening hours of any major conflict, the outcome will be decided not by reinforcements arriving in a week, but by the forces already deployed with their turbines running, radars activated, and aircraft ready to soar over disputed waters. This is where Japan emerges from the shadows, no longer merely a rear base for its allies. The Izumo class, two powerful ships, Izumo and Kaga, steps into the spotlight. These two ships, the Izumo and Kaga, have evolved from helicopter carriers into fully fledged aircraft carriers capable of carrying up to 28 aircraft, including the American F-35B vertical takeoff fighter jets. These aren't just floating platforms with flight decks, they embody a quiet but radical transformation. Japan is becoming an independent player in deterrence strategy, capable of projecting air power thousands of kilometers from its shores. The Izumo-class ships conduct anti-submarine warfare, coordinate coalition operations, and strengthen the defense of the first island chain from the Japanese archipelago to the Philippines via Taiwan. At a time when China's building up its fleet to 9 aircraft carriers, the Izumo's constant presence alters the balance of power not with fanfare but with real capabilities. In the Western Pacific, where a crisis can escalate in a matter of hours, such a presence is worth more than any geopolitical rhetoric. The Taiwan Strait. It may seem like just a narrow strip of water, but one of the world's most complex military ecosystems has been built around it. Any crisis scenario arising in this zone would instantly escalate beyond the confines of a bilateral standoff. Even if the first shots are fired between Chinese ships and Taipei forces, within a few hours, Japanese bases on Okinawa, American logistics on Guam, Australian patrol aircraft, and even Korean air defense systems can be confidently added to the conflict equation. The battle for Taiwan risks rapidly turning from a duel into a multi-layered operation, the decisive factor in which will be the ability of the Allies to group and act before the enemy has time to impose its will. Moreover, when modeling and assessing potential military action in the region, analysts' attention is increasingly focused on Japan, whose geography has made it the key anchor of the entire Western presence in the East China Sea. Less than 430 miles from the Ryukyu Islands to northern Taiwan, this corridor is effectively the gateway to the Pacific Ocean. Controlling it means ensuring access for American and Allied forces to the conflict zone, or conversely, blocking it entirely. For many years, Tokyo acted as a silent rear guard. Bases were provided, logistics worked, but the initiative remained with Washington. However, this formula has changed significantly over the past decade. The Izumo-class ships became one of the key material embodiments of these changes. Formally, they're still listed as helicopter carrier destroyers, but in reality, they've become light aircraft carriers capable of carrying the latest American 5th-generation Lockheed Martin F-35B Lightning II fighters. And this is not just a modernization of ships, but a fundamental shift of Japanese defense. For the first time since World War II, the Land of the Rising Sun has a platform that allows it to project air power far beyond its own islands without relying solely on American carrier-based wings. For Beijing, this fundamentally disrupts its plans, as any operation against Taiwan must now take into account not only a U.S. response, but also the immediate intervention of regional allies, and the Izumo class has become one of the most dangerous elements of the new deterrence architecture, a mobile airfield, a command post, and simply a symbol that the post-war era of Japanese pacifism is finally becoming a thing of the past. Although the terminology Japan inherited from post-war restrictions has left a toxic mark on the word aircraft carrier, anyone who sees the silhouette of Izumo will immediately understand that before them is definitely not a destroyer in the classic sense, but a full-fledged light aircraft carrier with a displacement of over 26,000 tons. The JS Izumo DDH-183 and JS Kaga DDH-184 class ships were originally designed as anti-submarine warfare centers, tasked with deploying helicopter groups to search for Chinese submarines in the East China Sea, commanding formations, and supporting amphibious and humanitarian operations. They were designed with ample interior space, a spacious hangar, a wide 813-foot flight deck, powerful elevators, sophisticated communication systems, and command and control rooms. Because of this, many shipbuilding experts, even at the keel-laying stage, asserted that the role of helicopter carriers would only be a minor transitional stage for the Izumo class. Japanese military sources later confirmed that the ship's design included the ability to operate fixed-wing aircraft from the earliest stages of the Izumo program, but did not publicly disclose this fact. The elevators and deck covering were designed to accommodate fighters, and provisions were made for the addition of a ski jump ramp to the flight deck for short takeoff and vertical landing STOVL operations. The public decision to transform the ships into carriers for the F-35B STOVL fighters was made in the late 2010s, and the modernization itself took place in several stages. The first step the Japanese took was to strengthen the hull and meticulously engineer its heat resistance, especially in those areas of the deck that would be exposed to the blast of hot gases during vertical landings of Lightning II fighters. The standard coating on ships of this class simply wouldn't withstand temperatures of hundreds of degrees. The bow shape is also changed, replacing the trapezoidal bow of Izumo with a distinctive square configuration reminiscent of the U.S. Navy's America-class amphibious assault ships. Changes to the flight support systems followed. Specialists thoroughly redesigned the fuel lines to accommodate jet-grade aviation kerosene, modernized ammunition storage facilities, and installed new communications equipment compatible with the American Link 16 data exchange network and advanced fifth-generation protocols. In essence, the ship was carefully integrated into the same digital ecosystem in which the U.S. Navy's aircraft carriers operate today. Particular attention was paid to logistics within the hangar. Elevators designed for Sikorsky SH-60K Seahawk helicopters, manufactured under license by Mitsubishi, were modified to accommodate the heavier and larger F-35B fighter jets. Maintenance areas with American equipment, as well as storage areas for specialized spare parts and air-to-air weapons were added. Japan was determined to ensure that the Izumo class could operate not as a one-off test carrier, but as a fully fledged element of an aircraft carrier group when the time came. The ship's air wing can accommodate up to 28 VSTOL aircraft. Initially, plans called for only 7 anti-submarine warfare ASW and 2 search and rescue SAR helicopters. However, after modifications, Izumo can accommodate up to 12 F-35B fighters in strike configuration, a mixed group of 6 to 8 F-35B and 8 to 10 SH-60K helicopters, and in a purely ASW configuration, up to 14 helicopters. Yes, this is less than the Nimitz class and significantly less than the outstanding capabilities of the U.S. Navy's Gerald R. Ford class supercarriers, but for a regional theater of operations, it's more than sufficient. Moreover, the main advantage of the Izumo class is not the number of aircraft, but the very fact of their presence in close proximity to Taiwan. Both ships of the class will be able to keep several fighters in the air around the clock, providing reconnaissance, convoy cover, and strikes against enemy naval targets. The helicopter component remains equally important, as the Chinese Navy relies heavily on submarines, and anti-submarine warfare has been and remains one of the Izumo's key missions. Helicopters equipped with towed payloads, anti-submarine torpedoes, and unmanned buoys transform the ship into a mobile umbrella, carefully covering the straits between the Ryukyu Islands and northern Taiwan. However, unlike the standard aircraft carriers we're accustomed to, the Izumo is not designed for single combat. Its own armament consists of 2 relatively modest CRAM close-in weapon systems, CWIS, and 2 Phalanx CWIS, as well as electronic warfare systems. Despite its symbolic power, Izumo still doesn't claim to be an invulnerable superweapon and has obvious weaknesses, including lack of catapults. Despite the ease of operating the F-35B from ships, their combat load and range are still inferior to those of the carrier-based F-35C or FA-18, which imposes limitations not only on the strike radius, but also on patrol time. Escort dependence. A ship's own self-defense capabilities serve more as a last line of defense than as a full-fledged long-range air defense system, meaning the Izumo class relies heavily on Allied ships to protect it from Chinese DF-21D and DF-26 anti-ship ballistic missiles. Political factor. Despite the modernization of legislation, Japan's participation in real combat operations remains a sensitive and even painful topic for society, so any decision to deploy the F-35B from the Izumo will be a difficult political step for the authorities. And of course, there's the issue of numbers. 2 ships is not a lot, and their loss or the incapacitation of even one of them will greatly reduce Tokyo's capabilities. Although Izumo is a Japanese project, its effectiveness cannot be considered in complete isolation from its allies, as in a real conflict it would ultimately operate in close cooperation with American, Australian, and South Korean forces. Maya and Atago-class destroyers with Aegis systems will form a long-range air defense perimeter. US P-8 Poseidon patrol aircraft will provide reconnaissance and data exchange, and bombers and tankers will be able to quickly deploy from Guam, significantly expanding the operational range of carrier-based F-35Bs. Australia is capable of bolstering the anti-submarine and anti-ship capabilities of the entire armada. South Korea will provide logistical support for coalition forces, assuming the lion's share of logistics, repairs, refueling, medical support, and responsibility for base and communications security. Thus, Izumo will become the heart of a multinational distributed force. Air defense, anti-submarine warfare, and reconnaissance will be built around it, and the ship will not so much fight itself as coordinate the actions of the others, a task assisted by the previously mentioned enormous command centers and extensive communications channels. For Beijing, this dispersal poses a serious problem, as a strike on a single target will no longer have a decisive effect. The ship can be relocated and the data transferred to American amphibious assault ships. For Japan, the Izumo class represents a dramatic shift from island defense to power projection beyond its shores. Even one such vessel off the coast of Taiwan would radically complicate China's plans by shielding the deployment of American reinforcements, ensuring airspace control in a specific sector, and closing off underwater approaches to the island. The homeland of the cherry blossoms has received a multifunctional tool it has sorely lacked since World War II, a mobile airbase independent of Okinawa's vulnerable airfields, and it's precisely this ability to operate independently in the early days of a potential crisis that makes JS Izumo and JS Kaga one of the most influential symbols of the Pacific Ocean's new military reality. Do you think Izumo can become a bridge between a country that vowed in 1945 never to project power again, a modern state forced to once again assume responsibility for regional security? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell for more content like today's. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.